Hello dear students, Assalamu alaikum. This video is about the model reading and explanation of the fifth chapter, The Snake and the Mirror, written by Vaikom Muhammad Basheer. Students, just say before you read. Do you like to look at yourself in the mirror? What do you think about at such times? Have you ever seen a dog, a cat, or a bird look into a mirror? What do you think it says? Now read this humorous jockey comedy story about a doctor, a snake, and a mirror. This story is based on a snake and a mirror. The snake sees its reflection into the mirror. Students, just see this story. Has a snake ever reeled itself round any part of your body? A full-blooded cobra, full-blooded fat. All of us fell silent. The question came from the homeopath. The topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively, carefully, as the doctor continued with his tale story. It was a hot summer night. About 10 o'clock, I had my food, at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was familiar, aware. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase, along with some shirts and dhotis. I also possessed had one solitary only black coat which I was then wearing. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so white vest banyan and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables. Gables, upper part of a wall below a sloping roof. Supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind gods seemed to have taken time off. Once, the author and his friends were discussing about snakes. A homeopath doctor was also one of them. He wanted to tell his story related snake, so he asked a question. Has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? For the attention. So everyone gave his attention to the doctor to listen his story and the doctor continued. Once it was a summer night. It was very hot night. About 10 o'clock, I returned back. The doctor returned back from a restaurant, and as he opened the room of the door, then he heard a curious voice as he opened the door. But he knew this was his familiar voice because he knew he and rats shared the room and the rats were running to and fro here and there. So he ignored it and entered into the room. This room was not electrified, so he lighted kerosene lamp on the table and he made his bed and tried to sleep. But he could not sleep because there was a very hot night. It was a very hot night. So he went to Varanda, but here the wind gods seemed to have taken time off. There was no air. So I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book, the Materia Medica. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and a large mirror. A small comb lay beside the mirror. One feels tempted to look into a mirror when it is near one. I took a look. In those days, I was a great fan of beauty, and I believe in making myself look handsome. I was unmarried and I was a doctor. I felt I had to make my presence felt. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. Again I heard that sound from above. There was no veranda, so the doctor returned back and took easy chair. Then he took out his medical book, Materia Medica, and tried to study. And he found beside the book there was a large mirror and a small comb. Then he took a look because in those days the doctor was great admirer of beauty and he believed in making himself look handsome because he was unmarried and he was a doctor. So he picked up the comb and adjusted his hair to look handsome. Then again he heard that curious voice. I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin moustache to look more handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth-shaking decision. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it. Again came that noise from above. The doctor took a look in the mirror and he made an important decision. He would shave daily and grow a thin moustache to look more handsome. Because, after all, he was a bachelor and he was a doctor. He took a look into the mirror and he smiled. It was a very attractive smile. So he made an earth-shaking decision. Again, he would always keep this attractive smile on his face to look more and more handsome. After all, he was bachelor and a doctor too on the top of it. Again, he heard that curious voice. But he ignored it. I got up, paced up and down the room. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would marry. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money, plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. Then the doctor got up and walked here and there in the room. Then another lovely thought struck in his mind. He would marry. He would get married to a woman doctor who had enough money and a good medical practice. She should be fat for the valid reason because if he made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after him and catch him. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. There was no more sound from above. Actually, he was thinking. Then again, he came and took that easy chair. Now there was no curious sound, but suddenly there came a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. No sooner had I returned than a fat snake wriggled, coiled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneous. I came and took easy chair and sat down. Now there was no curious voice, but I felt like a rubber tube had fallen on his shoulder and it coiled its neck, his neck. The doctor turned his face to see and he shocked to see that there was a full-blooded cobra, fat cobra, who wriggled, who coiled his neck. The doctor the doctor shocked and became a stone. I did not jump. I did not tremble. I did not cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake slithered, slipped away along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. It would not be correct to say merely only that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone. But my mind was very active. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. I felt then the great presence of the Creator of this world and this universe. God was there. Suppose I said something and He did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the word, "Oh God." There was something pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod, no, a rod made of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? The doctor became in a stone. He did not try to jump. He did not tremble. He did not cry out. Just kept silence. Then after he saw the hood of the cobra spread and the distance between his head and the hood of the snake was about 3 or 4 inches. So the doctor hold his breath and make silence. He was thinking if the snake would struck him, what would which medicine would he take? Because he was a silly doctor. So he smiled himself. At my slightest, a little movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked, lurked, ready to attack. Death lurked 4 inches away. Suppose it struck. What was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicine in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. Foolish and stupid, silly doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into the mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? I did not know anything for certain. What sex was this snake? Was it male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slipped away into my lap. From there, it crept onto the table and moved toward the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. I was no mere image cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. From there, I leaped into the yard and ran for all I was worth. The doctor shocked to see a full blooded cobra on his neck, on his shoulder. So he shocked and thinking about that, if if it would struck him, which medicine would he take? Because there was no medicine, and he was a foolish and silly doctor also. So he was writing on his heart, oh God, he was thinking about God, but thank God, the snake slipped away from his shoulder and went to the mirror and saw its reflection. The snake was busy to see his image into the mirror. Then at that time, the doctor got up from the chair and ran away till at he reached at his friend's house. Phew! Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? No, the doctor said. God willed otherwise. My life companion is a thin, ready person with a gift of a sprinter runner. Someone else asked, Doctor, when you ran, Did the snake follow you? The doctor replied. I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. Immediately I smeared rubbed oil all over myself and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30 I took my friend and one or two others to my room. Others I took my friends and one or two others to my room to move my things from there. But we found we had little to carry. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. What was that? I asked the orthodox. The doctor said, my vest, my banyan, the dirty one. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness, the rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. The doctor ran away and ran till he reached his friend's house. Next morning, with his friend and others, he went to his room to move the things. But when he reached with his friends, he found a thief had stolen all the things except one dirty banyan. Actually, the thief had left it for his insult, last insult, and embarrass. Okay, students, thank you.